Blessings, mamas. If you've been saying yes to everyone and everything, then this replay is for you. In this episode, I'm talking about boundaries, saying no, and learning how to say no without the guilt and standing, as they say, on business about taking care of you. It originally aired in May-cember, or what they call May-cember, which is in May, because it's a lot like December with events and all these different things going on, school coming in, a new season. But guess what? This can be applied anytime in your life because any season can be a busy season, right? So let's get into it. I hope this episode blesses you. Welcome to the Mom Self-Care Podcast, your safe space to finally focus on YOU. I'm Twitty-Hawkins, your self-care coach for moms, praying wife, and mom of four. And I know that being a Christ-centered mom is such a beautiful calling, but it can be so draining. That's why it's important to make sure you are filling your own cup. On this podcast, we'll discuss practical, holistic self-care strategies to help nurture your mind, body, and spirit. Because a mama who fills her own cup pours that back into her family with true peace and joy. Tune in for honest conversations about motherhood and self-care because you matter too. Blessings, mamas, and welcome to the Mom Self-Care Podcast. If your calendar is full at the end of May, well, it's not the end of May yet. Maybe I'm wishing it was the end. But if your calendar is full with graduations, recitals, events for your kiddos at school, then this episode is for you. And just know that I have been there. I am there, having twins who are teenagers, as well as my youngest, who actually has a concert tonight, a band concert. I totally get it. And that's why in my last episode, I talked about May-cember and how to get more sanity in your life, how to get a better hold on your schedule and have more peace. So if you want to check that out, go and check out my latest episode. And by the way, I am Cherry, your self-care coach and host, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And I just like to remind you that saying no, like I talked about in my previous episode, is not only optional, it's necessary. Sometimes you have to say no, and it may feel like you're disappointing others, which sometimes they will be disappointed. But what's more important is you are making room, making space for joy and peace in your life, for you to actually be sane, for you to actually show up for your family the way that God wants you to. So instead of serving from a place of exhaustion, you're serving from a place of abundance, of you have this energy about you that is more calm, that is more relaxed, that is more present versus you're thinking about all the things that you have to do. Because guess what? You said no to some of those things. And so you're not worried about those. So you said, and actually this is whenever you listen to this podcast episode. Of course, it's May. I'm going to talk a lot about May-cember, and that is, for those who didn't listen to the last episode, go listen to it if you need to. But May-cember is basically you have December. So you have all the events, all the rush, all the things, but it's in May. So just like you have Christmas and all the holidays, depending on what you celebrate, and you have the hustle of all of that, basically it's something similar happens in May. And so depending on when you listen to this, you might listen to this in January or August. These principles still apply. Okay, so just know that. But going with that, with being that it's May and you've set boundaries, you said no to some things because you're like, I need my sanity back. And you may start to feel guilty about it. You may start to doubt yourself and think, am I good enough? Am I being good enough for everyone? And you start to think stuff like, should I have said yes? Am I letting people down? And guess what? Those thoughts are normal. They're normal because your brain is created to protect you. So anything that you normally do, that's what your brain is going to think. Okay, you normally say yes, you normally do all the things, that's safe, that's normal. So when you try to do something different or you do something different, it's going to be like, what? And you're going to question yourself. So those thoughts are normal, but they're not always true. Okay? They're not always true. If you prayed about it and God told you to say no, and you say no, then guess what? When you have that thought in your head, should I have said yes? The answer is no, you shouldn't have said yes. And are you letting people down? They may not have thought nothing about it. You may say no, and their thought is, okay, next person, let me ask. And you're over here thinking about it, harping on it. And they have gone on. They might have, by the time while you're thinking about it, wondering, doubting yourself, they may have gotten the next person to do it and are on to the next list, the next thing on their list. So just think about that. Yes, I'm going to have these thoughts because my brain is used to this is what I do, this is what I say. So I'm doing something different. So I'm going to have those thoughts. But question, are they true? Are they true? And sometimes, like the one letting people down, like I said before, you may let them down, but they will be okay. The world is not going to crash and burn because somebody's disappointed. Even though it may feel that way, it's not going to crash and burn. So just know that perspective wise, this episode, I'm talking a lot about your beliefs and your mental processes, how you process the things that you're thinking. And you may even start to think, am I lazy? And I'm saying these are things you may question, but actually your brain, you may think them in a way that is not a question. Instead of, am I lazy? You start thinking, oh, I'm being lazy because you're used to doing all the things. So if it's a thought like that, question that thought, like the Bible talks about holding those thoughts captive. So if you start to think, I'm lazy, I'm not good enough, I'm letting everybody down, turn those into questions. Am I? No, you do not have to be doing something all the time to be a good person. You do not have to be doing something all the time to be productive. How many of you guys know, and I have to remind myself of this, that just because you're doing something doesn't mean you're being productive. When it comes to business and work, they call it busy work. So you could be doing a bunch of stuff, but you're not actually accomplishing what it is that you're supposed to be. So if your priority is, I want to get my house clean, or let's see, now this is a silly example maybe, but I want to get my kitchen clean, and then you cleaning up in your bedroom. Why you clean up in your bedroom when you know you have company coming and y'all are going to spend time in the kitchen, and that's where you need to be cleaning? So you're doing something that has nothing to do with your priority. And we do that a lot in our lives. So if your goal in May is to rest more and you're saying yes to all the things because you feel like, hey, I'm lazy, I should have said yes when you shouldn't have, then you are not taking action in alignment with your priorities. So ask yourself again, hold those thoughts captive. When you start to have those questions or those thoughts, those statements in your mind of, girl, why you didn't say it? Can't nobody do it like you could do it. All of these different thoughts. Hold those thoughts captive and say to yourself, is this in alignment with what I say I want? I want to have more peace. I want to spend more time practicing self-care. I want to spend more time with my children. Whatever that goal is for you. If you have those negative thoughts, hold those thoughts captive. Ask yourself if they're true. And if your brain is still telling you, yes, it's true, pray and ask God to reveal to you. And then if God says it's not, then you know that it's not. Okay. And it's going to take time. It's going to take time for you to shift your mindset from those thoughts that you're used to having to the thoughts that you need to start having in order to let go of that guilt, in order to let go of that doubt of you being a good person, of was this a smart decision to make? It's going to take time. So give yourself grace. And Matthew 11:28-30 says, come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And this is so important because, of course, he's inviting you to bring your burdens to him and to what? Rest. Rest. And it also says to learn from me, for I am gentle and humble at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. So there's many times in the Bible where it talks about how Jesus rested. And also how he set boundaries, how he said no. So this is just a reminder that, hey, Jesus wants peace for us. He does not want us running around like a chicken with our head cut off, like we often do. So, this episode is a reminder for you to be anchored in Him, to be anchored in God, and take your burdens to Him and rest in Him. So, if you're feeling some kind of way about setting those boundaries, about saying no, take it to God, take it to Him, and let Him reassure you that, yes, you made the right decision. You may not be able to see it now because maybe somebody is mad at you. Maybe somebody is not talking to you. And it may not feel good right at this moment. But guess what, my child? You have done what I wanted you to do. And some affirmations that you can say. Guys, get your pen out. I should have said this earlier. Get your pen out. My YouTube friends, you see my purple pen. And write these down, or write down your own version of them. But some affirmations that you can say when you start to feel the guilt or the doubt, or you're not good enough when it comes to setting boundaries and saying no. Again, this May or this December or any month of the year is my wants and needs deserve to be honored. My wants and needs deserve to be honored. And that's your job. That's your job to communicate those. I can love people and still say no. I honor God by honoring my limits. Or I honor God by setting boundaries. Peace is my birthright. It's not a reward. Peace is my birthright. You can leave the last part off, actually. Peace is my birthright. So when you start to feel like, oh, I have all this chaos and overwhelm and maybe mom burnout going on, like, oh, when am I just going to have some peace? When am I going to have some joy? When you decide that it's yours, when you decide I'm going to do what is necessary to make it happen. And if you need help with that, feel free to schedule a coaching session with me. You'll find that information down in the description, and I can help guide you through that process. But when you decide, hey, peace is my birthright, I deserve this just because I am. So write that down and say it over and over again. Peace is my birthright. And remember, rest is holy and rest is enough. Rest is enough. So when you start to feel that guilt because you set a boundary, when you set a boundary about something, and maybe the person comes and asks you again, or maybe the boundary is somebody talking to you a certain kind of way, and you have expressed, I'm not going to have you talking to me that way. And they try it again. And you start to feel some kind of way. Remind yourself that you deserve to have your needs and your wants honored. That you are honoring God by honoring your limits, by setting those boundaries and staying firm in those boundaries. Because you deserve the best in life. And part of that is not being stressed out and overwhelmed all the time. So share this with the mama that you know may be going through the May-December madness or whenever you're listening to this. Share with the mama you love. And I hope this really inspired you and helped you to change and challenge those beliefs that may be holding you back. Well, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and leave a review if this has blessed you too. Until next time, take care. God bless. Thanks so much for joining me for the Mom Self-Care Podcast. I hope you feel inspired to make yourself a priority too. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Share this podcast with another mama you love and leave a review. Also, feel free to let me know what you would like to hear about in future episodes by visiting me on Instagram at CIC Inspire Me. Until next time, take some time to take care of YOU because you matter too.